Marcus Reed stood outside the docking bay of Harmony Point Station, watching the sleek Valerian transport ship glide silently through the entrance. The massive space station rotated slowly against the backdrop of 3 distant stars, its neutral territory serving as the perfect meeting place for the most important peace negotiations in galactic history. "Reed, you understand the gravity of this situation," Commander Hayes spoke through his earpiece. 7 bodyguards from 7 different species have failed to protect Princess Zira. The Galactic Council specifically requested a human for this assignment. Marcus adjusted his security uniform and checked his equipment one final time. "Why humans, sir?" The previous guards were from species known for their protective abilities. "The Coraxians have natural armor plating. The Xanthari can see through solid walls." "That's exactly why they failed," Hayes replied. "Princess Zira has managed to escape from all of them. The Council believes human unpredictability might be the key to keeping her safe during these negotiations." The transport ship settled onto the docking platform with barely a whisper. Marcus had studied Valerian culture extensively during his preparation, but seeing their technology firsthand still impressed him. The ship's surface seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal before solidifying into a perfect landing configuration. A ramp extended from the ship's side, and figures began to emerge. Marcus recognized the Valerian delegation immediately. They moved with an odd synchronization, as if responding to invisible signals. Their tall, slender forms were draped in flowing robes that seemed to change color based on their emotions. Then he saw her. Princess Zira walked down the ramp with a grace that made the artificial gravity seem irrelevant. Her silver hair flowed past her shoulders, and her large violet eyes scanned the docking bay with obvious intelligence. Unlike the other Valerians, she moved independently, breaking the subtle group harmony that characterized her species. "Princess Zira," Marcus stepped forward and offered a respectful bow. "I am Marcus Reed, your assigned protector during your stay on Harmony Point." The princess studied him with unconcealed curiosity. When she spoke, her voice carried a musical quality that seemed to resonate directly in his mind. "Another bodyguard. How fascinating. You are human, yes?" "That's correct, Your Highness." "The others could not keep me contained," she said with what Marcus could only describe as amusement. "What makes you believe you will succeed where they failed?" Marcus met her gaze steadily. "I don't plan to contain you, Princess. I plan to protect you while respecting your freedom." Something shifted in her expression. For a moment, her violet eyes seemed to glow with an inner light. "Interesting. Your thoughts are very quiet, human Marcus. Most minds speak loudly to my people, but yours whispers in a language I cannot understand." The other Valerians approached, and Marcus recognized Ambassador Kethril from his briefing materials. The elderly diplomat's robe shifted to a deep blue color as he spoke. "Princess Zira, we must proceed to the secure quarters immediately. The peace negotiations begin tomorrow, and your safety is paramount." Marcus escorted the delegation through the station's corridors, noting how other species representatives stopped to watch their passage. The Coraxians with their rock-like skin stood at attention. The ethereal Ethans floated nearby, their translucent forms shimmering with respect. The bulky Ogron traders paused their loud conversations as the Valerian princess passed. The secure quarters occupied an entire section of Harmony Point's diplomatic wing. Marcus had personally inspected every room, every access point, every potential security vulnerability. The area was equipped with the most advanced protection systems available to the Galactic Council. "Your quarters, Princess." Marcus gestured toward the main chamber. "The security systems are state-of-the-art. Motion sensors, energy barriers, and constant monitoring will ensure your safety." Princess Zira walked through the rooms with apparent disinterest. "Very impressive, human Marcus. Tell me, how long do you believe these systems will contain me?" "They're not meant to contain you," Marcus replied carefully. "They're meant to keep threats out." "But what if the greatest threat to my safety is my own boredom?" She turned to face him, and Marcus noticed her robes had shifted to a playful shade of green. The previous guards all made the same mistake. They assumed I was a prize to be locked away rather than a person with her own will. Ambassador Kethril stepped forward, his robes now showing streaks of worried yellow. "Princess, please remember the importance of these negotiations. 3 star systems hang in the balance. Your safety directly impacts the future of countless worlds." "I understand perfectly, Ambassador," Zira replied, though her attention remained focused on Marcus. But understanding and accepting are different concepts entirely. Marcus spent the next several hours coordinating with station security and reviewing threat assessments. The peace negotiations involved 7 different species, each with their own political tensions and historical grievances. The Valerian Empire's participation was crucial because of their advanced technology and strategic position in the galaxy. As evening approached by station time, Marcus made his final security rounds. The diplomatic quarters were quiet, with most delegates preparing for the next day's formal sessions. He checked the monitoring displays at his security station, confirming that all systems showed normal readings. Every sensor indicated that Princess Zira remained safely in her quarters. Marcus decided to do a physical verification, as human protocols demanded redundancy in security measures. He approached the princess's chamber and activated his communicator. "Princess Zira, this is Marcus performing a routine security check." No response. He tried again, then used his override codes to access the chamber. The rooms were empty. Every single monitoring system showed her presence, but Princess Zira had vanished completely. Marcus immediately activated emergency protocols and contacted station security. Within minutes, teams were searching every accessible area of Harmony Point. The Valerian delegation was informed, and Ambassador Kethral's robes turned a deep red color that Marcus had learned indicated extreme distress. "How is this possible?" Kethral demanded. "Your sensors showed her constant presence." Marcus studied the monitoring data, looking for any anomaly. "The sensors are functioning perfectly. They still show her in this room. Either our equipment is being fooled or Princess Zira has abilities we weren't informed about. The princess possesses standard Valerian phase-shifting capabilities," Kethral admitted reluctantly. "She can alter her molecular density temporarily, allowing her to pass through solid matter. However, the energy signature should still register on your sensors." "Unless she's learned to mask that signature," Marcus muttered, beginning to understand what he was dealing with. This wasn't just a case of a rebellious princess. This was someone with advanced abilities and the intelligence to use them effectively. Marcus's communicator buzzed with an incoming message. "Human Marcus, please meet me in Observation Deck 7. Come alone and do not bring the others. I wish to speak with you privately." The message was clearly from Princess Zira, though Marcus had no idea how she had acquired his personal communication frequency. Against protocol but trusting his instincts, Marcus made his way to Observation Deck 7. The area was normally restricted during diplomatic visits, but his security codes provided access. He found Princess Zira standing before a massive transparent wall, watching the stars slowly rotate as the station spun. "How did you escape the sensors?" Marcus asked directly. "I didn't escape them," she replied without turning around. "I convinced them I was still present. Valerian technology operates on principles your species hasn't discovered yet. Mental energy can influence quantum fields in ways that allow us to project false readings. Why reveal yourself to me? You could have remained hidden." Princess Zira finally turned to face him, and Marcus noticed her robes had shifted to a soft silver color. "Because you interest me, human Marcus. When I probe the minds of most species, I find predictable patterns. Coraxians think in terms of strength and honor. Centauri analyze everything through logical frameworks. Ethans exist in a state of constant meditation." She stepped closer, her violet eyes studying his face intently. "But humans think in chaos. Your minds jump between logic and emotion, past and future, reality and imagination. When I try to read your thoughts, I find only fragments and echoes. It's like trying to understand a song by hearing single notes." Marcus maintained his professional composure, though he found himself genuinely curious about her perspective. "Is that why you escaped? To satisfy scientific curiosity?" "Partly," she admitted with a slight smile, "but also because I wanted to see how you would react." The Coraxian guard immediately assumed I had been kidnapped and called for military support. The Centauri calculated probabilities and searched the most statistically likely locations. The Ethan meditated and waited for cosmic guidance. "And what did you expect from me?" "I didn't know. That's what makes you fascinating." Princess Zira moved to stand beside him at the observation window. "You came here alone, despite protocol requiring backup. You asked direct questions instead of making assumptions. You're behaving exactly as your kind does, unpredictably." Marcus found himself studying her profile as she gazed out at the stars. "Princess, I need to ask you something directly. Are these escapes just intellectual exercises, or is there something else driving them? Her robes shifted to a deeper shade of silver, almost approaching blue. What do you mean? I've read the reports from your previous bodyguards. Each escape became more elaborate, more daring. You're not just testing their abilities. You're testing their dedication, like you're searching for something specific. Princess Zira was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice carried a note of vulnerability that surprised Marcus. My people value mental discipline above all else. We think collectively, share thoughts freely, and make decisions based on telepathic consensus. Individual will is considered a primitive concept. But you're clearly an individual. Yes, and that makes me something of an anomaly among my people, she continued. The royal bloodline maintains stronger individual consciousness to serve as leaders, but even I am expected to conform to collective wisdom. These negotiations represent the first time I've been allowed to travel beyond our home system. Marcus began to understand. You're not escaping from your bodyguards. You're escaping from the expectations placed on you. Perhaps, she said softly, or perhaps I'm searching for someone who can protect me without trying to control me. Someone who understands that true protection means preserving what makes a person who they are, not just keeping their body safe. Their conversation was interrupted by Marcus's communicator. Reed, report your position immediately. We have the entire diplomatic wing in lockdown. Marcus activated his device. This is Reed. I've located Princess Zira. She's safe and unharmed. We're returning to the secure quarters now. Negative, Reed. Remain in position. We're coming to you. Marcus frowned at the unusual response. Sir, I can escort the princess back myself. I said remain in position. That's an order. Something in the commander's tone triggered Marcus's instincts. He had worked security long enough to recognize when situations weren't what they appeared to be. Princess, we need to move now. What's wrong? Zira asked, immediately alert to the change in his demeanor. I'm not sure yet, but we're not waiting to find out. Marcus began leading her toward an alternate exit from the observation deck. Can you use your phase-shifting abilities to get us through locked doors? Yes, but it requires significant energy. I can't maintain it for long periods. As they reached the exit, Marcus heard the sound of heavy footsteps approaching through the main corridor. Multiple individuals moving with military precision. His training told him that legitimate station security wouldn't approach with such obvious noise. Change of plans, Marcus said, drawing his sidearm. We're taking the maintenance shafts. Princess Zira's robes had shifted to a deep purple color that Marcus guessed indicated fear or concern. Human Marcus, what is happening? I think someone has been waiting for you to leave your secure quarters, Marcus replied, accessing a maintenance hatch with his security codes. Your escapes may have been more dangerous than we realized. They crawled through the narrow maintenance shaft as sounds of pursuit echoed behind them. Marcus's mind was racing, trying to understand who would want to harm the princess and why they had waited for this specific moment. Can you contact your people telepathically? He asked as they moved through the cramped space. Not at this distance, and something is interfering with my abilities, Zira replied with growing alarm. It's like a fog in my mind. I can barely sense my own thoughts clearly. Marcus realized they were dealing with sophisticated enemies who understood Valerian capabilities and had prepared countermeasures. The situation was far more complex than a simple escape attempt. They emerged from the maintenance shaft in a storage area deep within the station's infrastructure. Marcus checked his equipment and found that his communicator was being jammed. Their pursuers had cut off their ability to call for help. Princess, I need you to listen carefully, Marcus said, his voice calm despite their circumstances. Someone planned this. They've been waiting for you to leave the security of your quarters, and they have technology specifically designed to counter your people's abilities. Zira's robes were now shifting rapidly between purple and red, indicating high stress. But who would want to harm me? These are peace negotiations. Everyone benefits from success. Not everyone, Marcus replied grimly. There are always those who profit from conflict. A distant explosion shook the station, causing emergency lights to activate throughout their section. Marcus realized their situation had just become much worse. They're not just after you, he said, understanding dawning on him. They're trying to destroy the entire peace process. If the Valerian princess dies during negotiations, it will trigger exactly the kind of conflict they want. Princess Zira looked at him with new respect. Your chaotic human thinking is proving quite useful. Marcus Reed. Let's hope it's useful enough to keep us both alive, Marcus replied as another explosion echoed through the station's corridors. The emergency lights cast eerie shadows through the storage area as Marcus checked his weapon and counted their limited supplies. Princess Zira sat against a wall, her robes flickering between worried purple and determined silver as she struggled against whatever was blocking her telepathic abilities. "Can you tell me more about this mental interference?" Marcus asked, keeping his voice low. "Understanding it might help us figure out who we're dealing with." Zira pressed her fingers to her temples, concentrating. "It feels like static in my mind. Valerian telepathy operates on specific quantum frequencies, and something is generating noise across all of them." "This isn't natural interference," Marcus nodded grimly. "Someone has been studying your people's abilities very carefully. They knew exactly how to neutralize your advantages." Another explosion rocked the station, closer this time. Through the storage area's small window, Marcus could see emergency vehicles racing through the corridors. Whatever was happening wasn't limited to their section. "We need information," Marcus said, accessing a maintenance terminal. His security code still worked, giving him access to station systems. "Let me see what's really going on out there." The terminal's display showed chaos throughout Harmony Point. Multiple explosions had damaged key systems, and emergency protocols were in effect. Most concerning was the pattern of the attacks. They seemed designed to herd the diplomatic delegations toward specific areas. "This is coordinated," Marcus muttered, studying the data. "Someone is manipulating the entire situation." Princess Zira moved to look over his shoulder. "Can you determine who?" Marcus pulled up security footage from around the station. Most cameras were offline, but enough remained functional to paint a disturbing picture. Armed figures in environmental suits were moving through the corridors, but their equipment looked familiar. "Those weapons," Marcus said, pointing at the screen. "That's human military hardware." Zira's robes shifted to deep red. "Humans are behind this attack?" "Some humans," Marcus corrected. "But look at how they're moving. That's not standard human military formation. Someone else is directing them." Marcus accessed communication logs, searching for any transmissions that might reveal the attacker's identity. Most channels were jammed, but he found fragments of encoded messages in a frequency range that seemed oddly familiar. "Princess, can you try to read these signal patterns? Even with your abilities impaired, you might recognize something." Zira studied the display, her expression growing increasingly alarmed. "Marcus, these communication patterns follow Caraxian military protocols." "But that's impossible. The Caraxians are committed to these peace negotiations." "Not all of them," Marcus realized. "Remember what Ambassador Kethril said about everyone benefiting from peace? That's only true if everyone wants peace." Marcus began accessing deeper station records, looking for arrival manifests and cargo inventories. His human intuition was telling him something important was hidden in the details that everyone else had overlooked. "Here," he said, pointing to a cargo shipment that had arrived 3 days earlier. "Advanced communication equipment, listed as diplomatic supplies for the Caraxian delegation. But look at the quantity. It's enough to outfit a small army." Princess Zira leaned closer, and Marcus caught a faint scent like ozone and starlight from her silver hair. "The Caraxians brought military equipment to peace negotiations?" "Not the official delegation," Marcus said, his understanding growing clearer. "Someone else using Caraxian credentials, but working against the peace process. They want these negotiations to fail spectacularly." The storage area's door suddenly hissed, and Marcus immediately drew his weapon. But instead of attackers, a familiar figure stumbled through the entrance. Ambassador Kethril, his robes torn and flickering weakly between colors. "Princess," he gasped, relief evident in his voice. "Thank the cosmic winds you are safe." "Ambassador, what's happening?" Zira rushed to support the elderly Valerian. "Betrayal," Kethril said bitterly. "The Caraxian war faction has infiltrated the station. They're using human mercenaries and stolen technology to make it appear that multiple species are attacking. Their goal is to destroy all trust between our peoples." Marcus helped steady the ambassador. "How many are we dealing with?" "Perhaps 30 armed mercenaries plus unknown numbers of Caraxian operatives," Kethril replied. "They've taken control of the central command center and are systematically destroying the peace accords." "What about the other delegations?" Zira asked. "Scattered or trapped," Kethril said sadly. "The Ethons are trying to mediate, but the attackers are using sonic weapons that disrupt their energy forms. The Zenthari are analyzing the situation but cannot act without complete data." The other species are either hiding or have been cut off from their support. Marcus felt pieces of a larger puzzle falling into place. They're counting on each species reacting according to their nature. Coraxians fight, Ethans seek harmony. Xanthari analyze, Valerians think collectively. But humans adapt, Princess Zira finished, understanding dawning in her violet eyes. That's why they're using human mercenaries. They know your people well enough to predict and counter your responses. Not all human responses, Marcus said with growing confidence. They're thinking like military strategists, but they don't understand human creativity and individual thinking. Marcus turned back to the terminal and began accessing station schematics. Ambassador, how long until the other Valerian ships arrive for extraction? They will not come, Kethril said heavily. The attackers have jammed all long-range communications. As far as our fleet knows, everything is proceeding normally. Marcus studied the station layout, his mind working through possibilities that no military manual would suggest. Princess, your phase-shifting ability, can you take other people with you when you use it? For short distances, yes, but it requires enormous energy, and I can only maintain it briefly. What are you thinking, human Marcus? Kethril asked. Marcus pointed to the schematics. The attackers control the command center, but they don't control the reactor core. If we can reach the core, we can override their jamming and restore communications. The reactor core is protected by multiple security barriers, Kethril protested. Even if we could reach it, the radiation levels would be fatal to most species. But not to humans in proper protective gear, Marcus replied. Human physiology is more resistant to radiation than most species. It's one of the reasons the Galactic Council originally contacted Earth. You needed people who could work in dangerous environments. Princess Zira's robes brightened to an excited gold color. You're proposing to use human advantages against enemies who think they understand human limitations. Exactly. They've prepared for human military tactics and human technology. They haven't prepared for human stubbornness and individual problem-solving. Marcus began gathering equipment from the storage area's emergency supplies. Here's what we're going to do. Princess, you'll phase us through the first set of barriers. Ambassador, you'll use your telepathic abilities to coordinate with any surviving security personnel. I'll handle the technical work once we reach the reactor core. But the mental interference will prevent me from contacting our people, Kethril pointed out. It will prevent you from long-range telepathy, Marcus corrected. But short-range contact should still work once we're closer to other Valerians. The jamming is designed to block communications off the station, not local mental contact. As they prepared to move, Princess Zira caught Marcus's arm. Marcus, why are you doing this? You could try to escape the station instead of risking your life for people you barely know. Marcus met her gaze steadily. Because this is what humans do. We protect people even when it doesn't make logical sense. Especially when it doesn't make logical sense. Her robes shifted to a warm silver color that seemed to glow with inner light. I am beginning to understand why the Council requested a human protector. They made their way through the maintenance corridors, avoiding the main passages where mercenaries were patrolling. Marcus used his knowledge of station layout to find routes that wouldn't appear on standard maps, while Zira's enhanced senses warned them of approaching dangers. The reactor core section was heavily guarded, but the attackers had positioned themselves to stop conventional approaches. They hadn't anticipated someone with phase-shifting abilities and human creativity working together. Can you get us through that wall? Marcus whispered, pointing to a barrier that would bypass the guard positions. Princess Zira studied the obstacle, then nodded. Hold on to me and don't let go no matter what happens. The sensation of phase shifting was unlike anything Marcus had experienced. For a moment that felt like eternity. He existed between solid and energy, feeling the fundamental forces that held matter together. Then they were through, standing in the reactor chamber while alarms blared around them. Incredible, Marcus breathed, then immediately focused on the task ahead. The reactor core's control systems were a combination of technologies from multiple species, but Marcus's human training included emergency protocols for all major reactor types. He began overriding the jamming systems while Zira and Kethril kept watch. Marcus, Zira called urgently. They've detected our presence. We have perhaps 5 minutes before they break through the barriers. Marcus's hands flew over the controls, adapting human security procedures to alien technology. His training had taught him to improvise when standard protocols failed, and this situation definitely qualified as non-standard. Almost there, he muttered, rerouting power systems and bypassing damaged circuits. Just need to. The jamming field suddenly collapsed as Marcus successfully restored communications. Immediately, emergency channels came alive with transmissions from throughout the station. This is Commander Hayes to all stations. We have communication restoration. Report status immediately. Valerian Fleet Command to Harmony Point. We are detecting massive energy signatures. Do you require assistance? Ethan Meditation Circle to all beings. We sense great disturbance but offer harmony and healing. But most importantly, Marcus heard the voices of station security personnel who had been cut off and isolated. With communications restored, they could coordinate their response against the attackers. Ambassador, Marcus said, can you contact the other Valerians now? Kethral's robes blazed with brilliant blue light as he established telepathic contact. Yes, I'm reaching our people throughout the station. They are organizing now that the mental interference has been reduced. The sound of explosive charges echoed through the reactor chamber as the attackers tried to breach the barriers. Marcus realized they had only moments before being overwhelmed. Princess, can you phase shift us back out of here? I'm too exhausted from the first shift, she replied, her robes fading to a tired gray. But Marcus, look at what you've accomplished. The entire situation is changing. Through the chamber's viewing ports, Marcus could see the tide of battle turning throughout the station. With communications restored, the various species could coordinate their unique abilities effectively. Caraxian security forces loyal to the peace process were engaging the mercenaries. Zenthari analysts were providing tactical information. Ethan mediators were using their energy manipulation to disable weapon systems. We did it, Marcus said with satisfaction. The attackers planned for each species working alone, but they didn't count on everyone working together. The barriers finally gave way, and armored figures rushed into the reactor chamber. But instead of mercenaries, Marcus found himself facing legitimate station security, led by Commander Hayes. Read report, Hayes demanded. We've been searching for you and the princess for hours. Sir, Princess Zira is safe and we've identified the source of the attacks, Marcus replied professionally. Caraxian were faction elements using human mercenaries to disrupt the peace negotiations. The situation is contained now, Hayes confirmed. With communications restored, we were able to coordinate with all delegations. The real Caraxian representatives have disavowed the attackers and are cooperating fully with our investigation. As they made their way back to the diplomatic quarters, Princess Zira walked beside Marcus. Her robes had returned to their normal silver color, but now they seemed to shimmer with new depth. Marcus, she said quietly, I owe you an apology. For what? For my earlier escapes. I thought I was testing your abilities as a protector, but I was actually putting both of us in danger. If I had remained in secure quarters, the attackers would have found another way to reach you, Marcus interrupted, and I wouldn't have learned about your abilities, which proved crucial to our survival. Still, my behavior was inappropriate for someone in my position. Marcus stopped walking and turned to face her. Princess, with respect, your behavior was perfectly appropriate for someone your age and your circumstances. You're intelligent, curious, and independent. Those aren't flaws to be corrected. They're strengths to be protected. Her robes brightened with that warm silver glow again. Is that your professional opinion, Protector Marcus? That's my personal opinion, Zira. The peace negotiations resumed the following day, with enhanced security provided by a mixed team of species working together. The attack had actually strengthened the resolve of most delegations. Proving that cooperation was essential for galactic stability, Marcus found himself with a new assignment, training human security specialists to work with other species' protection details. The Galactic Council had been impressed with how human adaptability complemented alien abilities. A week later, as the formal peace accords were signed, Princess Zira approached Marcus in the observation deck where they had first really talked. I have been thinking about what you said, she began, about protection meaning preserving what makes a person who they are. And I believe you succeeded in that mission better than any previous protector, she said with a smile. You didn't try to contain my independence. You helped me understand how to use it responsibly. Marcus returned her smile. That sounds like something worth protecting. The Council has approved my request, Zira continued. I will be serving as a cultural liaison between the Valerian Empire and human space. It seems my fascination with human unpredictability has official value now. And will you need a security detail for this new position? Princess Zira's robes shifted to a playful green color. I believe I will. Someone who understands that the greatest protection comes from trust, not control. Do you know anyone qualified for such a position? Marcus laughed, feeling lighter than he had in years. I might know someone. Fair warning, though. He tends to think in chaos and responds unpredictably to situations. Perfect, Zira replied, her violet eyes sparkling with humor. I wouldn't want it any other way. As they watched the stars slowly rotate past the observation window, Marcus reflected on how the assignment had changed him. He had started as a simple bodyguard and ended as something more, a bridge between species, a protector of independence rather than just physical safety. Marcus, Zira said softly, thank you for showing me that escaping and running towards something can be the same action. Thank you for showing me that protection isn't about preventing someone from taking risks, Marcus replied. It's about making sure they're strong enough to handle whatever they choose to face. The peace accords were successfully ratified, establishing new frameworks for cooperation between species throughout the galaxy. But for Marcus and Zira, the real victory was much more personal. They had learned to see beyond the surface differences between their peoples and found strength in their unique perspectives. As Princess Zira took on her new role as cultural liaison, she no longer needed to escape to explore human unpredictability. She had found someone who understood that true partnership meant celebrating differences rather than trying to eliminate them, and Marcus discovered that the most rewarding protection assignments weren't about preventing all dangers, but about helping someone become strong enough to face whatever challenges they chose to accept. Their story became a model for human-alien cooperation throughout the galaxy, proving that sometimes the best way to protect someone is to help them become who they were always meant to be.